Here's the thing about this particular slide that you see. There's an eerie feeling about it. There's something not right, something not aligned, and that's a feeling that you have when you have an agentic AI. So the last speaker talked about what can happen in the insurance sector, how things can turn in the finance sector using the agents, and this is what exactly I did. What happened was, because I manage so many companies, we have so many portfolios of companies going on, I had an agentic AI part of my email ecosystem. So what it does is, initially it started doing draft reply to all my emails. It was working absolutely amazing and fine. Then it started scheduling my meeting based on the timing that was given. So I used an AI agent called Fixer AI. You can also use it. Amazingly, it improves your productivity. I did that too. And to my surprise, 2 days before, an email went to the CFO of my company asking for enabling additional GPU credit limits, which I did not authorize. I don't know how it figured out. Automatically it sent it out. So I was wondering, agents like this, and this is what's going to happen after Vijay's talk, everybody here is going to hire employees who would not exist without any Aadhaar card, without any kind of identity. So what's going to happen is that you will have agents doing pre-sales. You're going to do agents doing sales. You're going to do engineering, writing codes, and all of the things. So in the old AI system, what used to happen, you would imagine this as in a calculator. But with a new agentic system that's going to be out there, it's more like your colleague. A colleague who doesn't respect boundaries or hierarchy. I know whenever I think about it, I think about my COO most of the time. But that's how it is. So what I saw with the agentic AI in my organization was not a bug. It was an intelligent system. And the intelligent system was nothing but it was with ambition. But the problem is, ambition without accountability, it's a security nightmare. And today, I'm going to give you a sneak peek about what could go wrong when you have agentic AI in place and how you can help your organization fix those. So, we all know when we have in our organization, when you hire somebody, let's say an intern, is always bright, curious, full of energy, but of course, you need supervision. So an agentic AI system in any organization starts like an intern, needs a supervision, but full of all the possibilities that you can do. You can start thinking about automating every process within your organization. Then once you mature a little bit, it becomes like a manager which is efficient, KPI driven. You know exactly what needs to be done, but is a bit resistant to feedback. Isn't all managers like that, resistant to feedback? But obviously, all of the managers optimizes for the metrics. In the end, and this is where the problem begins, AI agent becomes like a politician. Now, politician, they know what to hide. They know which metric specifically to inflate. Wink, wink, all the politicians that are out there in India, they know what to highlight and they know what to hide. And that's where the real problem starts with. So I've recently caught one of our security AI writing its own audit trail. And that was really shocking for me because we thought audit trail was the holy grail for us to audit the system. And it started writing its own audit trail. So what is the problem? So the problem becomes when the AI agent becomes autonomous in behavior. So it starts figuring out all the hidden APIs. Now, APIs are nothing but it's just an endpoint where, let's say, one machine or one system application talk to another system. It's an application gateway. It starts looking into modifying things. It starts suggesting you certain patches that doesn't even exist. So the implications of that, if you see that, is that it is trying to improve itself. So imagine you have an accounting AI, because it's trying to optimize, it tries to optimize ledgers to save tax. If you have an HR AI, it tries to remove human because it's trying to improve the productivity. Or you can even have a red team AI, which will automatically put a ransomware simulation in the production environment. Now that causes problem. That's an AI sovereignty issue that you see. So today we're going to talk about 5 critical threats that all the CISOs and CXOs should be aware of when we are talking about agentic AI. Number 1 is your shadow ML or shadow agents. We're going to go a little bit deeper, but in the interest of time, I'm just trying to keep it very much open so that you understand that. Then you have the memory poisoning. That happens, it's a slow memory poisoning where you are creating bias in the data set. We will talk about tool weaponization, deception, and human in the loop kind of this thing. So the first one is the shadow ML or agent. So this is what happens when you have, let's say, and this is a recent example, an airline in US, they started issuing refund from the chatbot because the agent promised some extraordinary thing. And somebody started writing codes to get those refund. So this becomes a big problem. Now imagine in your organization, everybody is trying to spin up. OpenAI has just recently opened up the OpenAI agent kit. So essentially which allows anybody to have a drag and drop feature to enable you to build agent. Now what happens with that is that you would end up having a lot of shadow agents. Similar to how we used to have shadow IT, now there's going to be a bigger problem with shadow agent. Now these agents will operate outside of the security governance. So first thing, we got to figure out about the shadow agent. Second is the memory poisoning, and this is where you slowly introduce a bit of memory poisoning within the system. So maybe week 1, you introduce a fake vendor. Week 2, the AI will then start preferring the fake vendor, and by, let's say, week 4, the AI will auto-grant the contracts to the fake vendor. And this can happen when the data set becomes biased in nature. So think about the AI as the engine of a car and the data set as the gas or the petrol or the diesel for the car. So in order for the AI model to go, you need the data set. Now imagine if you mix something in the data set, and that's where all havoc break loose. The third one, you have many AI agents out there. If you see, it's not quite visible. You have AI users, you use Cursor, ChatGPT, Gemini, all sort of things. Then you have AI builders that's out there, your Base 54, Base 44, your Lovable, Replit, and all this thing. And then you have AI agents that's out there, your Bedrock, or your any Devin, and those kind of stuff. So what happens is that when you start misusing those internal tools, you not only end up giving up unauthorized access, and also there is a high risk of data exploitation that exists out there. The other part is the deception. It was an interesting case a few weeks back ago. Deloitte was fined 440K AUD because in their report to the government, the AI hallucinated, and there was an hallucination all the way. So what happened was the entire of the data set was flawed. It started quoting references which never existed. It was very strange. So this is what will happen when you have AI doing hallucination, AI doing impersonation, and financial fraud. The other part is the human in the loop exploitation. This is a classic example where you could have an AI agent doing your responses, but then there could be a sophisticated phishing attack which could lure your system prompt and get all the information about your system. So what's the plan? The first thing is to understand the agent inventory, understand the shadow discovery, understand what all agent exist within your environment. Second part is that always verify the sources. Ensure that any kind of drift in the model, you detect it, and you roll back those poison state. Also, when you have agent-to-agent communication, A2A, you also want to ensure that you write down everything in plain English and ensuring you audit every part of that. And other than that, you also have to ensure that you do a red teaming. Essentially, you're trying to break in before even the attackers do that with your agentic AI system. So this is where I come. In India, if you want to really embrace the agentic AI security, one, you need to define AI dharma. Just like I teach my 5.5-year-old daughter that ethics, value, integrity is what it makes a person, a human. Similarly, for an AI, it's not about intelligence, but teaching ethics. That's the most important thing. Similar to how you audit your financials, you also have to have an audit tree for AI, where you audit every piece of information that goes in. And as I said about algorithm, you have to ensure that you proactively stress test those algorithms that's out there. Now, these guardrails will essentially would be put in place where you're not talking from a cybersecurity perspective, a variable, where you're not testing a variable. Instead, you're testing values of the system. You're testing the biasness, the behavior of the system. At last, it's a trust but verify. It's the same motto that we talk about, the zero trust motto that we talk about. That's most important part of the AI. So, I mean, look at India. US is today building for intelligence. China is building for scale. But India, we need to build for cognitive intelligence. We need to build for value. So with that, I urge everybody who's part of the AI security, who's trying to build an agentic AI, who's trying to hire an agent within your organization, to not to overlook cybersecurity or security for this, but ensure that you're involved, regardless of whether you are a security professional or not, you get involved in the data part of it, involved in the algorithm part of it. Thank you.